Hello and welcome back to Elden Ring. This is part 11 of our dexterity run through the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. Last time, we started at the castle watering hole, making our way through Reclusus's river, making it all the way down to Darklight Catacombs. And instead of going through there, we went through Bellerot Jail. And in that part, we got ourselves Salza's Hood, the Rain of Fire incantation, the Giant Golden Arc incantation, the Stone Sheath Sword, the Dryleaf Seal, Rakshasa's Great Katana and Set, the Dryleaf Set, the Moldmonger's Bell Bearing, a Revered Spirit Ash, Manfly Ashes, 3 Skidoo Fragments, the ability to craft hefty freezing pots, a hefty cracked pot, the Great Jar headpiece, which enhances the power of thrown pots, and the demi-human swordsman Yosh Spirit Ash. And here, we can get another Skidoo Blessing. Like, we can cash that in. We can get 6 FP for a mind level up. And a few parts ago we got Pearl Drake Talisman +3, so we can drop +2 into storage. Meaning all that's left is Halig Drake. We can get the +3 version of that. And I actually know where it's at. It's in the hinterland. Specifically right about here on the map. But instead of doing that, we are here. Because a few parts ago, we got a secret right scroll, and we could have given it to Ansbach, but we did not. And so that's something that we are going to be doing now. And I can take this off. So, hello, Ansbach.
What could they possibly have in mind for Lord Mohg's remains? The implications are rather unnerving. Well, what's this? Yes, I should have known. Even the truth was itself mere folly. As if using Lord Mohg to gain entrance to the Land of Shadow were not enough. He plans to use his corpse as the vessel of his king consort. He has forsaken Lord Mohg's soul. He desires only his empty shell. It beggars belief, but I'm afraid Tender Mikula fails to grasp the humiliation implied by this act. One thing is certain. My dear lord deserved better. Righteous Tarnished, you have my gratitude. You have given me the answers I needed, but I can hardly fathom it. Such folly. Unto the end. I am a warrior, but I've aged. I cannot afford to act hastily. Curse it all. I know my limits. I could spend the rest of my life honing my craft, and still that creature would be out of my blade's reach. The absolute folly of it all. The absolute folly of it all.
Alright, so we can now go up to the 7th floor, and we can talk to Freya, who is behind us. So, hello.
Oh, hello. I'm afraid I'm busy. Curse upon my lack of foresight. I should have asked Ansbach to impart his knowledge when I had the chance. I'm afraid I'm busy. Truly, I should have asked Ansbach to impart his knowledge when I had the chance.
And Ansbach is no longer there. But even though he's not showing up on the map, he should still be there, right? I don't see why he wouldn't be. There's not much risk in giving it a chance. Oh, he's not here anymore. Welp. I don't know where he went then. Because last time I just came to Freya.
I'm afraid truly.
And then went back to Ansbach and he was there. And he gave us the information we wanted. You can die. And it's here. So we can take this up. Thankfully that we can go right through that chain. And thankfully that enemy doesn't attack us. Which is kind of surprising to me. Because I really thought that they'd have some kind of ranged attack and would
Why, my lord,
attack you.
would I ever make sense of this jumble?
I think she's on the other side of this wall. And not entirely sure on why you can hear there, because kind of feels like you shouldn't be able to hear. Feels like you should have moved past her at that point. I mean, who knows, maybe it's just a way of saying like, hey, you haven't gotten the thing that she needs yet. Uh-oh. Whoa, 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 whoa. By my lord, correct. That is very cool. I like that a lot. I really like that enemy in general. And winged serpent helm. Enhances Fire Knight skills. I actually forgot that it does that. Oh, and it kind of fits, actually. And then Ash of War Flame Spear. I've been using Flame Spear on another character. Because despite being the second, like, recorded playthrough, this is my third run through the DLC. And we're gonna do this because I don't want to fight Mesmer. I really don't know where Ansbach would be, though. That's very strange that he would disappear like that. Maybe he comes back after you defeat Mesmer. But I don't know why. Maybe it's because we killed Letta. Like, we helped Hornsent kill Letta. Maybe he disappeared because of that. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's about the best I've got. But from here, we're actually going to head to the Ancient Ruins of Rauh. Because there's a few places we can go, but we ended the last part with a jail, like a cave. And so I don't want to spend too much time going through caves on this one. But again, I don't want to fight Mesmer. But I kind of don't want to go through the hinterland just yet. Because the hinterland doesn't have any... Beautiful. But the hinterland doesn't have... That's what I was hoping we could do. Yeah, the hinterland doesn't have any Scadutree fragments. And I want more Scadutree fragments. Yeah. Being able to fight enemies one at a time is generally beneficial for survival. Nope. You can get out of here. We can pop this. Yeah, see, if I try to use Ice Spear there, it just would not work. Because it just doesn't have that required range. And so Ice Spear is better for damage, Spectral Lance is better for range. And so it is good to have both. Just to have that extra versatility. Even though the only thing here is a Somberstone 8. So really no need to go through there. But I did it anyways. Partially to show that Blessed Blue is very good. And I pressed the dodge button, but my character just went, nah, dodging's for nerds. But they were willing to dodge there, so... And there. I don't know what my character's doing. But it means unnecessary damage. But not enough to get them killed, so I guess we can just move on. We can actually just teleport back. Because that'll get us all of our health back. And we'll be a bit faster. And also, going through on the second character, I mean, going through on the first character, I figured out that going left or right doesn't really matter. They both lead to the same end location. But going left is the way you're supposed to go. But what I found out on the second character, because I went left first on the second character, whereas I went right first on the first character. What I discovered on the second character is that going off to the right, it's really just a shortcut. There's a curse blade there. Not entirely sure where that curse blade even comes from. Because they don't show up right away. But anyways, it's still going left first, despite it being the slower path. Heard footsteps. Yeah, it's still going left first, despite it being the slower path, because of that revered spirit ash. Because unlike golden seeds in the base game, there are no extras. I'm assuming, at least. If there are extras, then man, I just barely made it. Because on my first character, I got just enough in both Skidoo. Oh boy, I don't remember which way I'm supposed to go. Pretty sure there's a curse blade in here. Yep, right there. And I do remember that this guy holds a Skidoo tree fragment. Yeah, I really don't remember which way I'm supposed to go, though. So we're gonna go this way first this time. But on my first character, I got just enough in both things. And on my second character, I got just enough Skidoo tree fragments, but I actually didn't get all of the other things. No. Alright, so it's a lot easier to fight these things on horseback. Good to know. Good to know. Oh, I just realized. Never mind, I was gonna say, that really looks like a scorpion, but burnt up, so I wonder who came through here with fire. But no, it's wood. So that was just a me being blind moment. But anyways... I pressed L1 because I thought that I had both out. That was an unfortunate mistake on my part. So I think you can drop down onto that. Really looks like you can. What you get out of that, we will see. We will see. And the whole, I thought I had 2 great spears out, killed my train of thought. Oh, back here, okay, so that's where that leads. Good to know, good to know. Goodbye. Hopefully he doesn't pull the lever to send this back down. That'd be bad for our health. But yeah, on my second character, I got all of the Skidoo fragments. But I missed like 2 or 3 of the required revered spirit ashes. And so that showed that I don't remember where all the required revered spirit ashes are. Which is a bit of a whoa. Because those are kind of important. Since they upgrade the power of, like, Mimic Gear. And I believe the health of Torrent. I could be wrong about that. But I believe they increased Torrent's health as well. Hello. Yeah, well, we both missed. Thing is, I only missed once. And there's this. That's the first door. Oh, that's just the small ones. This one right here, you can tell it's this one because the, like, fringe parts of it are a lighter color. It's an illusory wall, so if you went off to the right, you would end up here. It gets you the bond stone and the ability to craft sprite stones. And what you do is you craft the sprite stone and then you pop it. Like, you use it and it'll float after an enemy. And then you use the bond stone to explode it. So it's kind of like a remote controlled bomb. I haven't actually used it, so I don't know for sure, but from reading the description, that's what I think it is. And this time we can go this way. Please don't throw up on me. I killed a lot of Mesmer soldiers to get this gob. I didn't. I killed a lot of Mesmer soldiers to get the spears, but they don't know that, and they don't have to know that. Up here, there's nothing. And you might be wondering, well, if there's nothing, then why am I going up here? And the answer is because I didn't remember what was up here. I just remembered that it wasn't worth it. Fine Crucible Feather Talisman. Snails. Second door. Improves back steps, but increases damage taken. I don't know what it means by increases back steps. I also don't remember. I think it's this way. Yes. Good, 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 good. There's no need to attack. There's absolutely no need to attack. As you can see, Torn's taking some hits. And since I think that Revered Spirit Ashes increase Torn's health, it's good to get more of those, so Torn can not die as often. Crucible Knight, we're gonna ignore them for a hot minute while we come over here. Ancient Ruins cross message. We found the sealing tree just ahead, but if we are to burn it, we need the proper kindling, that of Sir Mesmer. Alright, so we got enough for another one of those. That's nice. That's another 5 FP. And we got a Skadootree fragment. Puts us at 1. Right. Something I occasionally say real quick. We can replace Ice Spear with Flame Spear. It's going to take an extra 4 FP. But Flame Spear is newer, and it's a DLC one. And it looks very cool. And it might have a bit more range. Still not nearly as much as Spectral Lance, but still. It also gives you a little fire buff on your weapon for a little bit. which is very nice. I don't know who's leaving these, especially since we killed Letta. Because in the first run, I assumed it was Letta. Well, that did not do nearly as much damage as I thought it would. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what happened there. What I do know is that I pressed the dodge button, and then I pressed the dodge button, and then I pressed the dodge button. And it didn't look like my character dodged. And I know that much. Beyond that, though, not entirely too sure. You okay? Wow. That might be something we have to jump. Also, I'm gonna call nonsense on that. So, oh, that does not give us a lot of time. And boom. Right. Livonia's hammer and Crucible hammer helm. Right. Strengthens aspects of the Crucible incantations. And then Livonia's hammer is a colossal weapon. But yeah, they used an incantation there, as you could see, and like a flower sprouted from their chest, and it created the laser beams out of the sky. And you may recognize that as the thing that the flower enemies do. Flower enemies that are pretty prevalent in the base game. And they show up here as well in the DLC, but they're not as prevalent. They still occasionally show up though. But here in the DLC, you can actually get that incantation. The one that makes you sprout a flower from your chest and then the, like, light beams drop out of the sky and onto enemies. You can actually get that in the DLC. And on the initial run, I didn't use it extensively, but I did try it out against a single boss. And my super rough initial thoughts just from using it against a single boss were along the lines of, yeah, about that. Basically that. Like, it just wasn't good. And my main complaint with it... Oh, there's a curse blade. My main complaint with it was that it had absolutely no mobility. Skidoo fragment, nice. There's one of those guys. You're free to ignore me. You're free to ignore me, sir. But, as I was saying, my main complaint is that it had no mobility. Because it would sprout above the enemy, and then that was it. It would just, like, wherever it started out at, that's where it would be. That was its location. The same way that the flower enemies do it. And you might think, okay, well, the flower enemies do it, and you do it, and it's the same. So what's the problem? The problem, divine bird feathers. Another incantation. Not that strong, but it's kind of fun to use. But the problem is that when you use it, it hits an enemy. Which, by itself, not a problem. A damaging attack hitting an enemy is actually a good thing. The problem comes in that when an enemy gets hit, they do this weird thing called a move. And it's where they move. And you see, that's a problem because the enemy moves, but the incantation doesn't. Meaning that the incantation, if you use it on an unsuspecting enemy, it can hit them like once or twice, but that's it. It can do a little bit of damage, but that's it. And so if an enemy doesn't see you, it's okay for those situations, but even then, there are just better incantations to use. But Devonia there, that Crucible Knight, when they used it, it followed us. And that one change of having the incantation follow the enemy single-handedly solves my issue with the incantation. And the developers put it in the game and gave it to Devonia, meaning it's clearly something they thought about and recognized as a problem, but they didn't give it to you. And I would 100%, without any problem whatsoever, without any hesitation whatsoever, I would be fully willing to give that like give the buff of it moving to follow the enemy, I'd be fully willing to give that buff to the plant enemies. So that way Devonia has it and the plant enemies have it. As long as we also got it. Just make it fair. Just give it to everyone. Just wanted to make sure that they weren't following us. I also don't want him to come after us. But yeah. That's what I want. I want the plant enemies to get that buff. And for us, the player, to get that buff. The way that Devonia has. Because... Revered Spirit Ash? Because when the plant enemies use it, it's like, oh no, they use this attack. Dodged. And so, the plant enemies, since they can't move, and since they're weak to fire damage, which is like the most common damage type outside of physical, because of those things, they really aren't a threat. And the spell that was, at least for the base game, their signature move, now you're just being mean. There's no need to do that. But because what at the time was their signature move, like before the DLC came out, because that had no mobility whatsoever, it really, like, it was basically just the nail in the coffin. They absolutely weren't a threat whatsoever. Pest Thread Spear's another incantation. They just weren't a threat whatsoever. And here in the DLC, you can get that incantation as well. But you're not a threat whatsoever. Because your version of it also has no mobility. But then Devonia, an enemy, has it. And their version does have mobility. Their attack can move to follow you. And as you could see when I fought them, it's not a big threat. Like, it was still probably their easiest attack to deal with. And I had no idea how to deal with it. So I basically just tanked that damage. But it wasn't a lot of damage, so it was easy to tank. And so even with mobility... Hefty rot pot. But even with mobility, it really wasn't hard to deal with. Raise the stone sheath sword to the sword of light, or to the light. Okay, so in my first run, I got the sword here, and I turned it into the sword of light here, but in this run, I got the sword here, and I can turn it into the sword of light here. Interesting. Interesting. Anyways. I'm trying to remember if there was somewhere else to go before down there. Nope. But yeah, like I said, Devonia's version is objectively significantly stronger because it has mobility, because it can follow you. But it's still not that strong. Like I said, it was her least threatening move, and I had no idea how to deal with it. So I had no idea whatsoever on how to counter it, and it was still the least threatening move. When the attack you have no knowledge on should be the most threatening. So, even with that buff, still not really a threat. Modeled necklace +2. Modeled necklace being the one for everything except for Deathblight. Yeah, so I think that both you and the plant enemies should get that buff to make it more of a threat. But even then, it wouldn't make it super powerful. It would just make it usable. Oh, this is death. Yep. Went just a bit too far. I had a bit too much faith in Torrent. I really should be taking those on foot. But I don't. And I won't. And so that death is entirely on me. Because I'm being stubborn and unnecessarily making things more difficult on myself for absolutely no reason. But I will accept the consequences of my own actions. And so that's the end of that. Jump. Land. I'm sorry, where are my runes? Oh, they're here. There was a delay on that. I didn't even know where that was. And it still did 0 damage. But here, as you can see, aspects of the Crucible bloom. So, I wasn't lying, you can get it. It is here in the DLC. But both the version that the flowers have and the version that you get have no mobility. Where they start is where they will stay. And I think that kinda sucks. I completely forget where you're supposed to go. I completely forget. If I remember correctly, this was just a nothing area. Like, it was just enemies. And where you're actually supposed to go is somewhere else. Yep. Still don't know why that is there then. Alright. Spot enemy. Revered Spirit Ash. Honestly, that's more of a reason to come here than the aspects of the Crucible bloom. Sir? I just wanted to teleport out. $221. Okay. But yeah, that's just... That was a very long-winded way of saying that that attack sucks, but it could be okay. Not good, not powerful, just okay. And the devs clearly know that, considering they gave it a buff to an enemy. Like, a new enemy uses it, and they buffed it on the enemy. So, I feel like they should have buffed the flowers. At least the DLC flowers, to also make their laser beam move to follow the player. And then the player's version should do that as well. Because again, it wouldn't make it powerful. It would just make it functional. Because right now, I've only used it once against a boss. But my initial impressions are, it's probably like an E tier. Like a full-on E tier. Spell. I looked at the timer. Which was a very unfortunate time to look at the timer. That, not the wind blow attack, but the bite really didn't look like it hit me. Also, nope. Just nope. I'm actually gonna summon Mimic here. Because the fact that they get, like, storms, I don't know what it's actually called, but okay, Mimikir is dead. But they get storms, they get Death Blight, they get Frost. They get Lightning. Do you hear that? That's what I was doing. And my character just wasn't in the mood to run, I suppose. Do you hear this? Do you hear this? Do you hear this? Do you hear this? Also, I don't know if the boss is regaining health. And by the way, I'm just going to accept death at this point. Like, I just stopped dodging because... no. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just gaslighting myself into that, but... I felt like I did more damage than that. Yeah, the fact that the Dancing Lion gets so many different things. And mind you, this is just some random Dancing Lion. Like, this isn't even the one with the cutscene. Because there's a second one. The one in Bellerot. Who gets their own cutscene. And even they don't get that many, like, elements. And so, this one do be getting that special treatment. Please. Oh my god. Alright, you know what? Alright, okay, I'm done. I'm going to grab my runes, and I'm out of here. Goodbye. Peace. See you later. I don't care how far after, I will run all the way to Indonesia if I have to. I'm not fighting this boss. Right now. There it is. Jesus Christ. Alright, go again. But yeah, that was really just... I got smacked. I rolled out of laying on the ground, healed, instantly got smacked before I could even roll again. And it was just smack roll, smack roll, smack roll, smack roll. Or smack, roll, heal, smack, roll, heal, smack, roll, heal. And I just couldn't do anything. And even when I tried to break out of that by not healing, it was just smack roll, get smacked again. I just wasn't allowed to do anything. I wasn't even allowed to move. It was just a permanent cycle of me getting clocked in the back of the noggin. And Mimic Tear did absolutely nothing. Mimic Tear was on vacation. That was rude. He didn't even hit us, but it was still rude. What? Alright. One, I don't know what on God's green earth the camera was doing there. But it was certainly something. And two, I don't think that one attack should have hit. Oh, I thought that Mimic Gear died from Death Blight. Because that's something I noticed a lot. Again, what's with the camera? And I know that you shouldn't always be locked on. But... But the camera should not be having some kind of death battle with basic vision. Like, I get that I'm blind, but I'm not that blind. Jesus Christ. God damn. But 216k and Divine Beast Tornado. Now, I actually have used Divine Beast Tornado, and it is pretty good. It's pretty decent. Whether it's worth that nonsense, I don't know. Because that's some pretty nonsensical nonsense. And not really the good kind. Just... I've beaten a lot of FromSoft games. I've beaten... I was gonna say a lot, but 2. I've beaten 2 FromSoft games at the lowest level. And I'm not as good as I used to be, but I'm still alright. And level 4 Gearman, because the lowest level you can get in Bloodborne is 4. But level 4 Gearman had less confusion and nonsense than that. So... there's just a lot of attacks here against this boss where I look at it and I go, that should not have hit me. Like, flat out, that should not have hit me. Because their mouth will be like here, and I'll be like here. And their mouth will still damage me. I'm assuming it's the mouth. Or else they just have, like, some kind of invisible appendage beyond that. Or they're sticking their tongue out to damage me like Lightning McQueen. So... yeah. That's part of why I prefer human bosses. Because... not pure human bosses, but more human bosses. Like Dragon Slayer, Armor, Horalu, Radagon. Bosses like that. Because their hitboxes are clear. These pure inhuman bosses, like the Dancing Lion, their hitboxes are very unclear, and they tend to do a lot of camera shenanigans, where locking onto them is just like a one-way ticket to having a stroke. And it's just not good. I don't think the boss is terrible, but like I said, that's why those are 2 decent reasons why I prefer more human-esque bosses. Not the only reasons, but 2 decent reasons why I prefer human-esque bosses. Because their hitboxes are far, far clearer and easier to understand. And because there's a lot less camera burying itself inside of your character's butt or cramming itself into some random corner or being halfway underground. Like, it's a lot easier to understand, like, what is damaging you and what the specific dimensions are and like where it's safe to roll, where it's safe to stand. It's a lot easier to understand those things, and it's a lot easier to understand what's actually happening because the camera doesn't have a meltdown. But with that being said, I think we can end it here. We talked to Ansbach and Freya. Freya wants help from Ansbach, but Ansbach vanished for some reason. Not entirely sure why, but he vanished, so we just can't help Freya until he decides to show up again, whenever that will be. And we also went from the Viaduct Minor Tower all the way, not 100% of Rauh Ancient Ruins, but we did almost everything in Rauh Ancient Ruins. All that's left is the boss, which we can do at a later point. For now, in this part, we have gotten the Winged Serpent Helm, which enhances Fire Knight skills, and the Ash of War Flame Spear. We got the spider scorpion ashes. We got the bond stone and the ability to craft sprite stones to go along with it. We got the fine crucible feather talisman. We got Devonia's hammer and the crucible hammer helm. We got 2 skidoo tree fragments, the divine bird feathers incantation, the talisman of all crucibles, the pest thread spears incantation, the ability to craft hefty rot pots. We turned the stone sword, I forget what it's called, into the sword of light. We got the modeled necklace +2, the aspects of the crucible bloom. We talked about how I wish this would get a buff because it's just not good as is. We got 2 or 3 revered spirit ashes. We got vertigerous discus and divine beast tornado, the incantation, along with doing a quick little explanation on why I'm not a big fan of inhuman bosses. But still, a lot of map progress today, and some thoughts out of the way. So, outside of this boss going horribly, we got some good progress today. Hopefully Ansbach will show himself soon, and yeah.